As I play the music, he walks in. It's a typical Nima Kante song. And he walks in with his broom in his hand. Hey, the woman. Mary, that's Cassia. Mary Collins watching me. She said, hello, Jala. Mary, how are you this afternoon? Good afternoon, Mr. Griffin. I'm watching you from Benin Farm. It's Jimmy Wilson. God bless you. This is ELBC Radio. Radio someone in Nima County, some district is following us this afternoon, relaying this program. Radio Lawayi in Nima County also, that belongs to Representative Glikia rather. They want Glikia relays the program. Radio Cleveland, they are also relaying this program. Oh yes, you know, I wanted to play more of this song, but you know, the time is not our friend. And I have been there. An opposition politician, a lawyer by profession, a former president of the Bar Association, Honorable James Tiawan Gongloe. I will never forget what that James name because he took me the history a year ago when I interviewed. How are you, sir?
Fine, but that's not what my supporters want to hear. Tiawan Saye Gongloe.
But no, I added it because, you know, it was there before. You took it from there.
That's true. In Nimba, during our days, our James, John, Moses, Joseph, all the biblical names.
Yeah. Okay, how are you, by the way? Happy New Year. We've not spoken since last year, even though I've been sending these invitations. You're always in the county and doing some other political work. How are you, by the way? How's everything?
Fine. Happy Easter as well.
Yeah. You know, and the Easter comes in the heel of so many things are happening in our country. The April 12, April 14, April 27, when those men who were in top of government were killed on the pole.
Is that April 27 or 22?
Was it 22 or so?
Yeah,
I need to be correct that.
You forgot about the most recent April 6.
April 6, yes. Yeah, April 6. But I will come to the progressive and I will come to what. But I was
personally, April 3rd, I went to jail in 1978.
Wow. Let me know the purpose of this broom in your hand. Why are we carrying this broom?
This broom, first, is a symbol of the Liberian People's Party. It was developed in 1979 when we started the Sawyer for Mayor campaign against the True Party. Their candidate was Chuchu Horton. Unfortunately, they were sure we would win the election, but the election was postponed and it was not held until the coup d'etat took place.
Why were you so sure you won the election?
Oh, our message was clear. We are a group of people who thrive on conscientization. So our message was very clear. We were pushing for the electoral system to be reformed. At that time, the recent election could not be held. All of the properties in Monterey were owned by only 2,000 people. And the law at that time was that you could only vote
when you get property.
On the property owners could vote.
So that was under the regime of President Tobert?
Yeah, it was during the Tree Party regime. Yeah, 1979.
So that was one.
But let me say more about the broom. So we adopted the broom as a symbol of running honest government to sweep corruption from the governance of Liberia and keep governance clean. Because unless the process of governance is clean, Liberia cannot develop, Liberia cannot be peaceful, because corruption promotes injustice. So we adapted the broom as a symbol, and I've made it as a symbol of my campaign to fight corruption. I want to run an open government where the president's salary and benefits will be known. The salary and benefits of all 73 branches of government will be known to the people of Liberia. It's a matter of right, because under Article 15C of the Constitution, it is stated that the people of Liberia have a right to know about their government and its functionaries. One of the information about the functionaries of government is how much do they make. So it's a right of the people, and government has an obligation to provide that information. I will provide it. Why is that important? Because if I appoint Cllr as Minister of Information and his annual salary is not even equal to $40,000, and in 2 months he starts building a $500,000 house, everybody in the country will know he's stealing. People in your neighborhood will know he's stealing, because his salary will be on the internet and people can look at the computer and say, this man is stealing.
And that's what you intend to do when you become president?
Because, yes. Because, you know...
Will you also do that to your cabinet officials?
That's what I'm saying. I just mentioned
cabinet minister. Yes.
So those are the people... You see, if a president does not steal, it's difficult for the cabinet ministers to steal. But some are still brave.
Yeah, now, we said to come to the broom. So that broom, that broom is talking to.
Come to the broom. So now, Cllr is billing $500,000. The neighborhood start, all the young people get on the community radio to start talking, right?
So it claim your attention.
Calling me immediately. Is it true that you're billing a 500? Yeah, Mr. President, but then you don't immediately I will dismiss you. Good thing about political...
Without investigating?
The good thing about political appointees is that you serve at the will and pleasure of the president. And
so don't you think you'll be violating the rights of that man to serve his country if he's not investigated? Because it will not be different. His salary he's getting that money from, he may be a businessman doing other things. So
that's the thing. As a lawyer president, I will be using the law. Before you become minister, you declare your assets, we publish your assets. So we know all your sources of money, we know what you have. So you can't say my friend in Kuwait send me money, or my friend in Saudi Arabia or Nigeria or anywhere else. Because under the code of conduct, the president and all officials of government are prohibited from receiving any gift above $250 US. So I already know that is the law.
Okay.
So I will fire you because I don't need to investigate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me welcome one of your sons who is contesting in Nimba as senator. James Halawanga, he said he wants to be a senator. James, welcome. You're watching it from the internet, and Emmanuel Hammond has joined us. But they tell me this broom was made. He said you did it for like Sawyer for city mayor campaign. So that's how you were thinking at the time,
right?
Did you see that, or did you notice that there was rampant corruption in the Toba government?
There was corruption.
Bad governance, want of resources. That's why you made that broom.
Yes, there was corruption. And when the 1979 protest, that is misnamed Rice Riot, took place.
It was misnamed?
Misnamed Rice Riot.
Was it being planned before the Rice Riot? It just was it being planned before this Rice Riot came just into it?
No, so what I'm saying is that what happened on April 14 is misnamed Rice Riot. The people, citizens of Liberia, were protesting the increment in the price of rice.
Okay.
And they were peaceful. I participated in that protest.
In 1979?
Yes. I was a third-year student at the University of Liberia.
Okay.
We were armless. And the Minister of Justice ordered the police to shoot at armless people. That created the violence.
Okay.
They tear gas us, and we were not even, as we were tear gas and not seeing, they started firing at us. So what became riot was a result of government spraying tear gas and shooting at people. The violence
was people killed?
Over 200 persons were killed. We claimed. Government admitted 40 were killed. So when government...
And many of those who were killed were for the progressive, who were the organizers of the protests.
We didn't even see the bodies of those who were killed. Many of the supporters, many of our friends that were marching with us, we just got lucky. Me and Tiawan Saye from we call each other partners today because the two of us...
You were there?
Yeah, two of us were students marching. and we got saved. So till today, we call each other's partners from 1979. But
tell us the rest of the story of 1979, because I want to drag into 1982 or 1980, but then we'll go to other issues.
But let me tell you, there was corruption. There was rampant corruption. In fact, when the coup took place, there was rampant corruption. When the 1979 demonstration took place that turned rioters because of government, the president set up a commission inquiry led by veteran lawyer Nettie Brunel. The Brunel Commission showed that the government was wrong. First, in increasing the price of rice, and then in the manner in which they dealt with the demonstration. So, the president of Liberia, based on the recommendation of the Brunel Commission, on which President Salif, as Deputy Minister of Finance, was serving as a member, the president dismissed the Minister of Justice, who ordered the police to shoot at the demonstrators. He dismissed the Minister of Agriculture, who proposed increment in the price of rice.
When those things are done with this import,
and dismissed the Minister of Finance, James T. Phillips.
Now, Mr. Gongloe, I'm asking, was it a political calculation just to save face at the time? Did he know that these things were happening? Was it not briefed by his lieutenants that we are doing these things?
You know, I had a conversation with later on my colleague, Florence Chinowell, and she said to me, you know, I have to write a book. She said, because in the cabinet, the president looked at me and say, in the interest of state, sometimes some people can become casualties. When I'm minister, you
and says you was a casualty. Yeah.
So that answers your
question.
He may have known about it.
Yeah.
But
somebody needs to blame. But it happened to you, right?
She said,
did dismiss one of you one time?
I've never been dismissed.
Suspended.
I have never been dismissed or suspended in my public life.
Were you not Minister of Labor when Ms. Maran Saleh said that cabinet minister did not attend her welcoming program and she suspended the entire cabinet, which led you to have, when you were renamed, I wanted the minister to say you're not coming back?
She didn't say that people didn't attend her welcome.
What was the situation?
I wasn't in the country. I was actually in Switzerland representing the government of Liberia with the Minister of Justice, where we were just told. One of my cabinet colleagues told me, the president entered the room and said, you are all dismissed. And then later on she said, oh no, not dismissed, suspended. No, sent on compulsory leave for 2 weeks. And we were just lucky that we had completed our presentation in Switzerland. Otherwise, we would have been disgraced, because at the international forum, you would be on the stage and they just call you behind the curtain and that's it.
And you will not speak?
No, you will not speak. You'll be finished. You're dismissed. You don't have authority to speak. So we came back, and I thought it was a bad decision. I criticized it openly.
I know that. I was one of those who called that.
So she still called me back into government. I said, no. You think if I wanted to be your government, I would criticize you publicly. So I left the government by myself. Nobody ever fired me.
I want to go to a county tour. I know you've been carrying a broom with you in the counties and talking to the people. But tell us a bit about the 1980 coup, since we are still in April. You know, I was a young man in this country when April 6, 1996 came about. I know a bit, very good knowledge about that. But 1980 after the arrest riot.
You probably were not born 1980.
Yeah, but when I was born, I'm asking, what better happened on that day? I listened to your account on one of the local radio stations the other day. It was not in detail.
I'm going to be in detail tomorrow on OKFM. We need to let the young generation know. You know, people say when a medical doctor, surgeon makes mistake, only one person dies. When a politician makes mistake, thousands of people die. And the effect of that mistake remains on the country forever. Our politicians have made mistakes in this country. That's why we keep telling voters, be careful who you elect into office. Look, so that April 14, the proposal in the increment of rice was a mistake. Government said, oh, you know, when we do that, then the farmers in the interior will make more money from producing rice. But our people in the interior that were producing rice were using cutlasses and hoe. Government was not assisting the people in the interior to change the mode of production, for example, to mechanized farming. So if you are doing cutlasses and hoe, I don't care, you can be strong like elephant, you cannot produce more than 3 clean bags of rice. And you need that same rice to eat for the whole year.
Yeah.
It's subsistence farming.
You have to also blend some.
So you are not going to even increase the price of rice to $100, you are not going to benefit. It will be other people that will benefit. You know, so it didn't, we felt the policy was meant to benefit a few people in government. For example, Daniel Tauber was a rice importer and he used to sell rice. Brother of the president. And the larger rice farmers were James T. Phillips, Minister of Finance. He was Minister of Agriculture before. The president.
They were the ones producing rice locally.
Yeah. Big farms. They had the money.
Again, the other side was that the government took that decision so that it will encourage many people to go back to the soil and produce rice, and also subsidize the price of rice for the locals who were producing it here.
The effect of that policy on the urban poor, which is why people came from Gardnersville, Nukuta, West Point, everywhere participated. Because the army was making $22 or so increase the price of rice to $25 or something.
They can buy bigger rice.
How much would the army, you know? So the military, and that is why on April 14, when the police were shooting at us, the military was shooting at the police.
Ah.
Yes. Right down in Buzakot, I saw that happen. Because the demonstration was supported by the
same government, though.
Yeah. They were, because the police were making maybe $60 or so. So they could afford, they were closer to government than the military. The military were living in terrible condition. Salaries were very, very low. So,
listen, I saw some kind of those accounts about the day he left his wife, Nancy Doe, and told her when he come back, and the food they ate that morning before he left him, because it was a bad thing for them. I know the story very well.
So then the Brunel Commission showed one of the things in the report, conflict of interest. So people in government who were making the policy were beneficiaries of the policy.
Yeah.
They mention it in the report. You read George Buller's book, you will see that in it. So then, April, you know, you talk about whether there was corruption or not, but yes, he himself acknowledging you set up the special anti-corruption task force that was located at Executive Mansion. So, you know, the fact that he set up anti-corruption task force shows that there was corruption in his government. Now, when the coup took place, one of the principal reasons for the coup was rampant corruption, abuse of office, misuse of public office. Those were the reasons. And that is why later on we started criticizing the military government. Now, how come you are corrupt when you kill people for corruption, which was a contradiction? And these are the things that have been happening. One generation after another generation of government expose the good things for the people to hear, they come and repeat and even do worse than the people before. Just like now, how poverty is being multiplied in several ways under this government. One way is the lack of roads in the rural parts of this country. You know, Lofa was a place where a lot of agricultural materials used to come from. They're selling their goods to Guinea now because the roads are bad. I just came from Southeast Liberia, from Cllr.
When you were going, you carried this broom with you?
Yes, I did.
And you were saying to them, that's the reason I've come back.
Right.
Now, you talk about Lofa then, and I was just in Lofa the other time, and I know the barrow condition there. But do we blame this on successive government, from the Ellen government to Georgia? Who do we blame it on?
We do. When you come, I don't believe in blaming past government, especially when you've been in power for at least 2 years. Why? Because the reason you are elected is to change the bad conditions. So don't keep looking back. If I was President Weah, I would put maybe 5 to 10 caterpillars on the road between Banga and Vonjama to keep the road maintained. I would do 10 to 15 caterpillars from Ganta to Fishtown, because Fishtown Road, the pavement.
Then you see some of the roads sections being worked on?
Some of the pavement has been done up to Fishtown. I think the first layer, they haven't finished the second layer. It's not complete yet. Because when you pass Fishtown, you're going towards Cllr, you still see some road construction, incomplete pavement going on. But it's going to take the government of Liberia the next 50 years maybe to actually pave all of the roads connecting the county capitals. It's capital intensive, but maintain the roads. Maintain the roads. And there was a way of doing it, and I have promised the Liberian people that when I become president, I will restore the public work yards that existed in the 9 counties. Now that we have 15 counties, we will put public work yards in the 15 counties. The public work
to maintain the roads.
Yes, the public work yards used to have yellow machines. I know growing up there was one in Ganta, one in Petu, another one in Tapeta, another one in Tota, another one in Kawyeke. And the roads were well maintained.
Okay.
Evidence, I left from Maryland 6 o'clock in 1979 in a taxi. As a student leader, I wanted to do something at St. Francis High School and Fatima. And I left from Harper 6 o'clock in the morning. By 9 o'clock that same day, I was in Monrovia. It was not happening anymore.
Now, you talk about you won't blame any government that's been in power for 2 years if it didn't maintain road. But now we had a government in power for 6 years. You talk especially about Lofa Road, right? And we had a former vice president from Lofa. And we had an agricultural project there. They were considered as a breadbasket of Liberia. Not much was heard from the importation of food to Monrovia as well. As a matter of fact, the people of Lofa brought their rice and put it in the kitchen. The government promised to buy those rice. They never bought it, they got rotten. But if you say you don't blame a government who would just stay for 2 years and then do better, but it's a government for 12 years, under Madam Salif, and you in government, you served there before in government. But not much was done on our Lofa Road, now as you see. Now it's being done now under we are government of the Saye. But why don't you put the blame on them too for not doing those roads in 12 years? I mean the Lofa Road in specific comments.
I'm not excusing them. And you and I will never debate on that issue. Because you are making a statement of fact. So why should I debate that?
Thank you for acknowledging that, sir.
So I am saying the reason President Weah came to power and Unity Party didn't win was exactly that. These people didn't do what they should have done. I am coming to do it. So I can't excuse him because, that's why he benefited. You cannot, it's contradictory. You benefited from this. You gave hope to the people that you are going to do this. So you can say, oh, these people didn't do it. Yeah, they didn't do it, and that's why the party was not elected. Now you do it.
Okay, let me recognize some of the guys who joined us. Someone also asking this city following you, and they think that you're the best. Let me see, watching you from Bon County is OB Sweet Candy. He said more details from your guest historically. Yes, he said providing some historical highlights. We are Boer is watching us from River, where I don't know. Prince T. We are watching us from somewhere in Maryland County. So I'm joining from Maryland County. Augustus Y. Lepolu said, please give him a chance to explain indeed, instead of you taking more time. No, we have a conversation. Boom, boom, he said, symbolizes tradition. He said, broom, the broom symbolizes tradition. It's Francis Keita. William Congressman Maslin is watching us from Cyprus, Northern Turkey, she said, or Turkey rather. Margaret T. Beto says, I'm following Tiawan Saye Gongloe from Harper City. Margaret Beto is a big brother. I was here.
I met him recently. I met him and his wife. I was in Maryland. I went to the house right behind the police.
Okay, so he's following you. Nash Washington following us from, he said, with Councillor Tiawan Saye Gongloe, a better Liberia is possible. Opi Oni Johnson has joined me, as well as Bill Malima Wanda. Bill Malima Wanda, the second watchman from somewhere. He said it is difficult to discuss government and governance with sentiments. I can see the ambitious into the presidency. The presidency. What are you trying to say, Adam? Okay, Chris Selly. I'm Chris Selly from Ziatan Dos District Capital in Nima County. Welcome. Now let's come to your tour. You want to end what you say.
Right. No, I just want to say that, you know, when governments come to power, they should not be saying, oh, this other people didn't do it, the other people. You start doing, and the people of Liberia will definitely say you are doing much better. On the Lofa Road, again, truth be told, you remember President Salib dedicated that road. I mean, broke ground for that road with President Riad's hand up when he was still a candidate, and that was controversial. And people were saying, why you didn't carry your vice president, all of that. So it means that that road was already planned, you know. Good, you have to give him credit that he's executing the plan that happened. But I'm saying, even while you are executing that plan, hey, put caterpillars on the road for the roads to be maintained. It's important because you know what? Government has ambulances all over the country. I was in my vehicle from Zozo to going to Vanjama, and you know that the worst part of the road there. And I heard siren behind me. When I tell you it was an ambulance, and the ambulance could not pass me. And I said to myself, oh, how can I run faster than the ambulance? It means that if a sick person is in a vehicle, that person may die on the road. It shows that when you have a bad road, ambulances are meaningless, you know. So, and I saw the same thing, I made the same conclusion in southeastern Liberia. I had my event in Kilipo Kanwieken. I have completed it. There's another Kanwieken called Wipo Kanwieken. People are waiting. The people are waiting for me at 6 o'clock. I didn't reach there until 1 a.m. in the morning because of bad road.
Okay. But the other day I listened to the minister of ministry or the minister of roads. She was here, and then the government has procured some machines that will be on the road because you know all of these things take time, procurement as well as the time is not delayed. I hope they can do so. But she was here on the Summer George show and said that the government has procured some machines that will be going to the counties for these kind of rehabilitation processes, while the pavement where they are being contracted will be going on simultaneously. But let me.
I'm happy she's responding that way because I've been hammering this that the people of Southeastern Liberia do not deserve this. Because you know how I talk about bad road, multiplying poverty. Imagine you have a planting farm in Webo, and then you harvest your planting and put it in a truck and beg one shop owner, please credit me money to charter a truck to carry my planting to Monrovia. When I come back, I'll pay you. You get to Whipple Weekend mud there with 20 or 30 cars stuck in the mud. You stay there for 1 week. Your planting gets rotting. Instead of earning money to pay debt, you become a debtor. You probably will pay all of the money that you have and sell your properties. Then you become poorer. So bad road can increase poverty. It also undermines peace and security. Assuming we are attacked by Ivory Coast, how are we going to move our troops in that place? You know, and then ambulances can go, so personal security is affected. I was lying on that road. I could have been bitten by a snake. By 9 o'clock in the night, I got so sleepy because of the work I've been doing. I picked leaves. I didn't have flashlight. I put the leaves on the ground.
You were traveling on that road, council, and if somebody wanted to change the dynamics of politics and the infrastructure development of our country, you didn't even carry a flashlight.
But the flashlight were in the car. The people were trying to
you should have carried more than 5 or 6 flashlights.
Well, I carry what I carry, and what I carry axes, and I carry shovels, and the shovels were being used. All right, but at night, of course, I had a phone light. That's not sufficient. So I picked the leaves and put them on the ground, and I started sleeping. It was 12:30 in the night before the young man sitting right here came to wake me up and say, "Oh, the cars are out of the mud." And I couldn't leave because there was a lady in one of the cars that was so loaded, and she was sick. They needed to take her to Plibo to go for treatment. I said, I can't leave without that lady being hauled out of the mud. That destroyed the 4-wheel Jeep. It is being repaired right now.
Okay.
So that is the condition over there. Imagine
Tell us
you
how
got a
many-
30-minute road and you're taking 8 hours to reach there.
And
Who can have
George
different-
Weah has said that is his priority. He's working on them, and that's why he wants a second
I'm
just to
saying
give
even
him.
they procure the yellow machines now, they are not going to work on that road before election because I'm talking dry season a little bit over a week ago. By the time the yellow machines arrive here, it will be in the middle of the rainy season. Already, even with the dry season, one caterpillar came to haul one car out of the mud and almost got stuck there, front hand loader. It's a terrible condition.
Now, how many counties did you visit, Council? What was your central message to the people? You talk about improving their lives. Did you talk about what you intend to do yourself? You know, you want to do it differently than what Weah is doing.
Right.
Even though Weahsians and the citizens will say, no, you cannot do it better than we are, and XYZ. So what were your central messages?
That's their view. Let me focus on Sas town, the president's town. The place was packed. I was received by the city mayor. I don't think I'm putting him in trouble. Very nice man. He received me. He said, wait for 30 minutes. Let's arrange the place because we arrived there in the night. He arranged the place, had a sound system for me to speak on the mic. He gave me the cola nut. I took the cola nut, drank the water, and then he said, well, we'll give cola nut to a stranger, then you tell us why you are here. So I'm here to encourage people to register to vote.
Okay.
And to give them reason why they should register to vote. I said, look, I have a 10-point agenda for better Liberia, but I'd like to talk about 4. I said, under my regime, pregnant women, children under the age of 10, and all Liberians 65 years or up will go to all government hospitals and clinics free of charge. And I will make government hospitals and clinics better than private hospitals and clinics. Because as a president, I will pay surprise visits to government hospitals and clinics. I will come to J.J. Dawson Hospital in Maryland, and I say I came for a complete medical checkup. When they say, Mr. President, this is not there, this is not here, this is not here, I will fire the head of the hospital and turn it over to the police for investigation. Because before going there, I will have talked to the finance minister. Has the money meant for J.J. Dawson Hospital been disbursed? Oh yeah, Mr. President, 2 months ago, fine. So I get there and you tell me the things are not there. You have to face investigation and account for it. And I strongly believe that when I go to 10 hospitals and clinics and the heads are in jail because they can't account for things, government hospitals and clinics will start being better than private hospitals and clinics because the equipment that government pays for will be there, the medicine will be there. It will not be like JFK today where when you go, they make prescriptions and say, go across the road to Lucky Pharmacy. Because the president and people in government are not assessing that system, so they're not pushing for the improvement. They go to Ghana, they go to India. I will not be one of those people doing that. So, because if a clinic or hospital, in my view, is not good for the president, then it's not good for any citizen of Liberia. And that is what I would do. So when I said that, the people clapped. Then I say, your children will go to school from kindergarten to 12th grade, free of charge, with the copybooks, pens, pencils, textbooks, and food provided by government. I say I will end illiteracy in 2 years. All the people who have never been to school by paying junior high students, senior high students, and college students where they are colleges, stepping to teach at least 10 people who have never gone to school in a community after school how to say ABC and how to say 1, 2, 3, because that's the only way they will use the phones. I will put free trade schools in the 15 countries because when you go over the country, Jala, the young boys are only riding motorbikes and they're in the gold camp area. Incidentally, may their soul rest in peace when I in Grand 5 young men left under the mud. They were in a gold mine and the land fell over them and they died. Same thing happened in River says ITR, one border and one border. And then the other thing I said, I would transform this country from being a rice importer to rice exporter in 3 years.
You're able to do that in 3
Yes,
years.
yes.
It reminds me of
So-
former Vice President Joseph Nyuman saying that in a year he can connect all the roads in his country with paved roads.
Listen to me.
What was also your message to them in terms of roads?
So, in terms of road, I just said it to you that under Tubman, Tolba, and Do, there were public work yards in
Yes.
the 9 counties.
So when these yards
we
are
will
there,
restore the public work yards so that the roads are maintained throughout the
By
year
those-
while government is paving roads.
now you talk about the issue of finding food, putting food on the children's table, giving the carpet bowls and SYZ. But the entire world, and there's a horrendous economic situation the world faces today. I'm thinking, where do you intend getting the resources from in a country where they pay taxes by people, government knock at their doors? I saw that during the early administration, I had to go put a lock to your doors. I mean, law firms. I saw law firms on place on basis to be closed by the taxpayers from the ARA during my selling time. Where do you get resources from, Councillor?
My answer to you is that this country, Liberia, is a naturally rich country. We Liberians choose to live in poverty because on election day, we choose to get money, to vote for money, liquor, and rice. So we don't choose competent leaders and leaders who are committed to making this country work for all Liberians. And this country has, my Ethiopian interpreter I like to talk about, Yared in Ethiopia in 2005, told me, sir, there is a country in West Africa that is a heavy on earth. I said, show me that country. He said, your country. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was in Greenville working as an interpreter for the Ethiopian contingent, and I ate mango. I dropped the sea. After 3 weeks, I saw a grain by itself. I yelled. I said, this is heavy in Africa because it doesn't happen in Ethiopia. It doesn't happen in many countries. The soil is fertile. Then under the soil, we have diamond, we have gold, we have iron ore, we have uranium. Botswana is a landlocked country with 70% of Botswana covered by a desert. Only 30% is there for agricultural purposes. Botswana exports meat to Europe and to certain parts of Africa because of one word, 2 words, good leadership. We need good leadership to manage this country so that all Liberians can enjoy the natural wealth that God put here. Look, even on tourism alone, we could make millions of dollars. Why? Because we have better sea coast than Gambia has, than Senegal has, than many countries have, than Bahamas. And then, look, do you know that there's an animal called hippopotamus? The one they call pygmy hippopotamus exists only in Liberia, in the Sapo National Forest. That could bring thousands of people here just to see the pygmy hippopotamus. You know how much our hotels will be making and employ a lot of people? There is a species of frog that was discovered in the Nimba forest. It is only in Liberia. It exists nowhere in the world. Scientists and other tourists will come. If there's security here, there's rule of law, which is the number 1 on my agenda. Okay. There's rule of law, there's security, and the police is working. That's why I said on day 1, I will issue an executive order that any official of my government that interferes with police operation will be dismissed immediately. Police has to do its work without interference. And I will put in that executive order that the people of Liberia have a right to monitor police by videotaping police operation. Okay. Just as, otherwise, even in America, George Floyd's situation would not have been discovered if somebody had not videotaped. If police does its work well, this country will be all right. People will be protected.
Thank you. Councillor Gongloe, 2 things before we can, and if people calling, I'm not announcing nobody calling, but I will come to you later. But 2 things, Council, and we just talk about them quickly as we zero in on this interview. Who are you eyeing as a running mate in the election? Will you accept an invitation for any of the other candidates or aspirants in the election in opposition to go as vice president to any of them?
Okay, so you are talking at a time, if you know election issue, every political party, including my own, the Liberian People's Party, and Unity Party, for example, has incumbent lawmakers, right? And I've had so many people who are now coming, they want to be senatorial candidate. You mentioned one, LPP, the young man who you said called from Tapata, Hadawanga. There are many people like that. Unless you are a selfish politician, that you just go and talk for yourself to be VP to some, It has to be a
Do you
package.
intend to take Halawanga as a running mate?
No, I didn't say so.
No, I'm asking a question.
No, that question is
it's off the record. It's off
non
the
sequitur. It does not follow.
It's on the table.
And I'm there when you put too much to be distracted. You know. Yeah. So the thing is, so people are paying money. They want to be lawmakers now, and they are on your team. In this thing, the time the CPP first, the whole CPP were discussing, that's the time for the horse trading, right? Don't run. We have an incumbent in this country, so we don't want you to put a candidate there, right? We are supporting our incumbent, or we have a candidate here in this district. People sit down and work on all of those things, and even sometimes go to the running of the government, executive, appointment procedure, all of that, because people are going to run a unit. It takes time. As I speak to you, Cummings is in America. I'm here. Barker was in Buchanan yesterday. I was somewhere. We are in emergency time. Nobody has time now to really sit down and deal with those details.
Now, I know you're very practical of that, but these are it makes sense. But there are itching ears around here. For example,
they have to be educated.
Example, people say they expect Council of Gongloe because the questions are being asked and there are a lot of factors being interplayed. Whether the Council of Gongloe will agree to go as running mate to Cummings, whether you are in conversation with him, if you are in conversation with Boakai, all of those. The next one is as if Council of Gongloe pairs with Boakai, it will be a fun ticket that can take on George Weah. They might win. If Council of Gongloe pairs with Cummings, it will be also another good ticket. But now, will you, if in a worst case scenario, will you want to go as a running mate to somebody?
You know, I want to discuss something that is workable. I just told you the scenario where we are right now in terms of the timing to hold these discussions. Because you see, I think
when is the appropriate time to have this discussion?
I've already said that, you know, the time that we had in 2019, 2020, 2021, those were the times. Because you see, it's not for position. It's in the interest of Liberian people. You have never heard me say, I want George Weah to be a one-term candidate, a one-term president. I speak about what I can do better. I don't like to speak in an envious or hateful way. George Weah is a citizen of Liberia. He has a right to put his cards on the table. I have my right to put the cards on the table. And making him one-term president cannot be an objective that puts food on the Liberian people's table. You have to discuss. So we need to discuss what are the problems.
When will you be open to discussion?
What are the solutions?
When will you be open to discussion with other parties?
I'm open to discussions.
When they call you, you'll be
discussion open. Not just on ticket, but on how to change Liberia to make Liberia a better country.
But going on a ticket will make you make a decision.
Listen, no, not necessarily. A 10-point. I talk about my 10-point agenda. How many presidents you hear talking about? How many candidates? Ask them, do you want your salary and benefit to be open to the public, to be on the internet? Ask to say one presidential candidate has said that. A lot of people are establishment politicians. I am not. I've been an advocate all my life. I'm not an establishment politician. That's why I left Ellen's government.
If a Cummings were to come to you some days while the discussion is ongoing and say, I want to be your running mate, Councillor Gongloe, will you take him?
That's not a discussion we have. We discuss what are I want to see your agenda for transformation of Liberia.
And when you see it, you are satisfied?
Let's see it. Let's compare it with mine. Let us talk about what will make Liberia a better place. Because it's the quality of leadership. The quality of leadership is determined, you know, by the kind of program you have and your track record. Mr. Cummings, in all fairness, has zero knowledge about government. He has perfect knowledge about the private sector. This is not disputable. His whole life, you know, has been in the private sector.
So you think he should not be in this race for president?
I'm not saying so. I'm just saying if you are considering people in terms of improving governance, then they must have first-hand knowledge of the governing process, not what they
you would say that Boakai is not a novice to the presidency, but Cummings could be. is rather because what he said. So Parker has more knowledge. You can have a conversation closer with him than Mr. Cummins.
That is your conclusion. But I'm saying that Cummins has never had experience. He cannot argue that. He had never
and
had
as such, he should not
he
provide
had
for
never had experience in the governance of Liberia. He had not worked in the executive branch anywhere. You know, even on government experience, it's sad to say, but that's true, that we can even boast over Cummins and say, you know what, at least I was in the
Senate,
and I served for a short while, peace ambassador, whatever that is. But at least I heard conversation. I was around seeing because you cannot improve something that you don't know. One of my experiences, one of the experiences that I've got going around is I said, wow, it's important for everyone who wants to be president of Liberia to face it everywhere. Sleep on bamboo bed, cross the rivers, go on the monkey bridges, as I've done. See the condition. Go to the makeshift toilet over there, and then you take him by the bathroom. People also are looking at you because they think it's halfway.
What they say, the upper part.
Good of it. And then find out that most of the towns in Liberia don't have hand pumps. People are still
drinking to the creek.
People are still drinking from the creek, and people are still drinking from well. It is terrible. You say that in Monrovia, or you only campaign and go to the county capitals, you will not see that. For example, I have a joke on the president, and I hope he's listening to me. I have been to Pakwai Town. Pakwai Town is a town across the Cestus River in Riverside County that on a motorized canoe, it took me 35 minutes to reach. In a canoe that you
paddle, were so brave to ride.
Yeah. In a canoe that you paddle, it would take you 4 hours to reach Pakwai Town. I reached Pakwai Town, and the old man said, "What made you so brave? Even our superintendents, our senators, our representatives don't come here because they say that this river and all of that is very wide because it's part of the Cestus River entering the Atlantic Ocean. So the width is like maybe from here past ELW Junction further. But I went upstream, like from here to Broad Street. Maybe, no, from here to maybe Brewerville or so, upstream. And it took me 35 minutes by motorized canoe. So when I entered the town, after they gave me the cola and everything, they said, "Do you know this is the town in which Annie, the late mother of President Weah was born in, but he has never been here. Because the only way to come here is through this river." And so I got that one thing over here.
So So
I'm calling him, let him go there like I did, and the people are living.
Yeah,
they are living in abject poverty. Let him go and fix their school there.
Okay.
Because the school is they build a school for themselves with stakes, right? And they're trying there because the children to cross the river are not possible.
Okay.
Let him go and help them.
We have 10 more minutes.
Post on a tourist boat that the people will be enjoying and say, our son, our nephew is a president now, he put a fashionable tourist boat here.
Okay. The questions have been asked about we have mentioned. James O. Akachuku says, please ask the councillor how is it going to make rice importation possible in 3 years if he's elected. Let me see. Welcome to say Bowie, Jerry Say, Princess Favor, Mina is watching us. Honest Family is here as well. Chris Silly is watching. Thanks for joining us. Let me say welcome to Sikba Romeo. He says he's watching.
Let me deal with that question quickly before you.
Yeah, just in 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Yeah, please.
We will mechanize rice production by government under my administration buying the machines for producing rice and distributing them to the 15 counties through the farmers' cooperatives. It will be on loan for them to pay in 15 years through their harvest by bags of rice. And government will store them. And I believe, and then the next thing I will do, I'll make the military declare war against hunger and make the military to go to war against hunger by me giving them, the government giving them machines for them to produce not less than 100 acres of rice in each of the 15 countries. And I strongly believe that when the farmers are producing rice using machine and the army producing rice using machine, we will be in a position where we will not be spending $200 million to export rice. We might be making $500 to $600 million in exporting revenue from exporting rice.
Councilors, Tiawan Saye Gongloe is my guest. Coming on 08051409660 The two numbers are available. Each person will have 15 seconds because we don't have time. Let's go to this line. Hello, welcome. You live. You're on the Bumper Show. Good evening, sir. Welcome. Where do you come from?
I'm George from Bangabong County.
Welcome from Banga, my brother.
Thank you, Jala. Jala, I want to appreciate Mr. Gongloe. He said something, actually, I appreciate it a lot. He said when you go on the table, do not castigate anybody. Try to print the message. What of President we have in Manchester? It's not the thing that Nigerian people want. What you think you can give to the Nigerian people and get on the table tomorrow and President that what should be preaching. So that I know, I think Cllr, I want to.
All right. All right. Thank you so very kindly. Next caller, welcome. What is the name? Where do you call from?
Father George.
And where you calling from? Dubro, let's hear you.
Yeah, the council has said a lot that we have been listening to over 30 to 1 hour, 30 minutes to 1 hour. My question to the council is why have he done or why he has done President to confuse the Nigerian people that yes, if you want to put for him, or why he's saying we implement some of those things.
All right. Let me pause it and take the next caller. Welcome. You live. Let's hear you. Hello. Oh, Jamel Kuli, you're on the line.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Big Brother Jara. And let me say an absolute good evening to one of Liberia finance advocate and non-turned politician, Councilor Gongloe. I like the line when he said that it's not part of his agenda in terms of making president. We are a one-term president because taking into the fact that it's impossible to make president. We are a one-term president because if you just take a backtrack relative to the president's own initiative around the county, you know that the issue about making president, we are one-term president, is not part of any politician agenda because that will be a fair agenda.
Okay.
And I just want to say to him that he has been I listen to him, he's very, very real and practical in terms of talking about discussion on the table to be a vice president or running mate to end of the top runner-up against President Weah.
Thank you, Jamel. No, Jamel, no time. Thanks a lot. I think the point is made. Let's take some more callers from the other line. Hello, welcome. Here, let's hear you. Hello, welcome. I'm okay, sir.
Okay, Steven Zong from Zero West Gate.
Steven Zong, welcome you live.
Gongloe has made my healing, and I'm most appreciative for being so peaceful. Yeah, that's the kind of people we are yearning for in politics. I love the part that he said that if you are president, to be a leader, go and wear the same shoes that the people are wearing. But practically, experience in life the people. That's the thing. And one challenge that he sent to the president that I love was go to the town. I know where who came from.
Bakwai town.
Yeah.
Where the president Mark came from.
Okay. Thank you. No, man, no time. The council has to respond to some of your concerns. Yeah, thank you so very kindly. Assistant Minister Thomas, that's Assistant Minister Daniel Nuss Thomas was trying to comment from the Minister of Information, Culture, Affairs and Tourism. Mr. Minister, you have 15 seconds to make your case.
Good evening. 15 seconds is okay. Good evening, Councilor Gongloe.
Good evening.
I want to just say thank you for admitting to one of the greatest political honesties that Senator Cummings has got no ideas as it relates to the issue of government. He's been in the private sector, and the issue of government is not a thing of guests. Councillor Gongloe has been around for some time, in as much as he is an opposition, but at times some of the things he says makes a lot of sense. And colleagues in opposition needs to learn from his fountain of knowledge.
Okay.
These are people who we sometimes refer to because he's been, an advocate, justice of the peace, and a pro bono lawyer in our country. Our colleagues need to learn from what he's actually saying.
Okay.
Liberia is not a place. It's not an elephant farm. You come here and you see people do what they do. Make a sacrifice before you request for the people to go for you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you, Minister Thomas, Daniel News Thomas, Assistant Minister for Public Affairs and Minister of Information. The next caller is here. Welcome, you live. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Please make your case. What's your name?
Okay, I'm African from Banga. I'm calling from Banga.
Welcome, my brother.
Yes, if Councillor should take the road from Kipamos to More, it won't take 6 hours. That's not realistic. Where I've been there before. So it's not realistic. If that's it can't take 6 hours from
Did he ever say you're facing road from Morovia to Kipamos?
No.
No, the council did not say that. He didn't say that. No, he did not say that. He did not say that. I'm the moderator. I'm listening to him. He didn't say that.
I said when the road was good, I told taxi.
Hello, welcome. Hello, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes?
Yeah, my name is Wilson Blimi.
All right, let's say you have 10 seconds.
Yeah, well,
Gongloe.
Gongloe.
actually, I've been following the entire activity that the white nation is the public. What I really want to say for grateful is
Gongloe.
whether it's successful or if any of those political actors try to incorporate me to know or to want to really
Okay, let's come back to Councillor Gongloe. Please, because we have to go.
Yeah,
This council in
let
just
me
2
just
minutes.
quickly,
Yes.
the young man said, what have you done in the past? I went to Justice Ministry, I said I would transform prosecution. When I went to Justice Ministry before I got it, all the candidate attorneys were now law school graduates. I transformed that and made sure that all the candidate attorneys in the 15 countries were law school graduates before I left. Before I went there, some of the candidate attorneys were not even high school graduates. And I felt government was doing injustice to the people of Liberia because how can people who are not lawyers would be? When I got to Labor Ministry, I said to the Senate, when I appeared, I said I want to enforce the liberalization policy. When I got there, I found that the work permit fee was $400 for more than 10 years. We issued regulation number 17 with the approval of the president, and we increased the work permit fee from $400 to $1,000. As soon as we did it, some employers who have 50 foreign employees cut like 30 off and employ Liberians. So a lot of Liberians got employed based on my regulation number 17. And this government is still using regulation number 17 because it's really good. It protects jobs for Liberians.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything funny you want to say at the guy?
And then when I went to bar association, there were quacks practicing law. So we brought the licensing for the first time, right? Licensing regime. You have to fill a form, and the form has to be examined to make sure that you're a lawyer and that you pay all your dues. All the non-lawyers disappear from temporary justice because every year you have to get a license. That was the first time over 100 years of the bar association. Our brother, and I hosted the first international conference of the bar association in 112 years based on the quality of leadership that I provided the bar. So I've done too many things in the past, and that could take a whole period on the radio.
Councillor Tiawan Saye Gongloe has been my guest on the Bumper Show.
You know, 1 hour is too short for me.
Yeah, you can. Let talk the thing. We'll find time for 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock sometime in the next 2 weeks.
I'll be happy.
My name is Jala Greyfield. Thanks to Anthony Williams who has been behind camera. Have a good day from Monrovia. I'll see you when you see me again.